If you died in Mississippi of any sort of suspicious circumstances, chances are Dr. Hayne was going to be cutting you open.
That's Matt Eichelberger, a former public defender, talking about Dr. Stephen Hayne, a pathologist who claims to have conducted tens of thousands of autopsies.
How many would you say you've done in an average year, late 80s to probably a few years ago?
Somewhere in the range of 1,400, 1,500, in that range, maybe 1,600.
That's 5 to 6 times what's recommended by the National Association of Medical Examiners. For the first time on television, Hayne is responding to claims that an oversized workload and questionable tactics may have led to the conviction of many innocent people. For decades in Mississippi, there's seldom been a state medical examiner. Counties relied on state-approved pathologists to conduct autopsies. Hayne was one of them, although he has never been certified by the Board of American Pathologists as a forensic pathologist.
He was a prosecutor's best friend. Law enforcement would go to Dr. Hayne with their investigation pretty much complete. They would tell him what they suspected had happened. And 9 times out of 10, probably 95 times out of 100, they would get the result they were looking for.
I'm not a friend of law enforcement if a crime has been committed. I don't support a DA if he wants to charge a person with the crime. I don't think a crime was committed.
One high-profile case Hayne's critics often cite is that of Tyler Edmonds. In 2003, the 13-year-old boy confessed to pulling a trigger of a gun with his older sister to kill her husband. He later recanted that confession. Edmonds was tried as an adult, and Hayne testified as an expert witness for the state. Edmonds was sentenced to life in prison. 3 years later, the conviction was overturned, and Edmonds is now a free man. Then Supreme Court Justice Oliver Diaz wrote a scathing concurring opinion.
I saw that Dr. Hayne had testified that he could tell by the bullet wounds on the victim that there were 2 hands on the trigger that fired the shot that killed the victim. And I said, that just doesn't make sense.
All I could say was I favored 2 people who were involved in shooting. I couldn't exclude that only one person did the shot. You know, it was not a definitive statement.
In 2008, Hayne was removed from the list of state-approved pathologists. Recently, the Mississippi Innocence Project has asked the state Supreme Court to review 4 separate murder cases in which Hayne was the pathologist, and it expects to file 10 additional requests, some of them death penalty cases.
We're going to have to go back, and we're going to have to examine just about every case that he had any contact with, and we're in the process of doing that, thankfully, here in Mississippi now.
Ballpark, how many cases?
Thousands. Thousands.
Hayne sued attorneys for the Innocence Project for defamation, libel, and slander, a case that led to an out-of-court monetary settlement. But information gathered in that case was also used in the petition seeking reviews of other Mississippi murder cases. When asked tough questions about his tens of thousands of autopsies, Hayne has a simple answer.
I don't think there are errors in my work.
And we reached out to the office of Mississippi Attorney General Jim Hood, and his people sent us this statement. Our office would say this is not and has never been a matter of defending Dr. Hayne. If fraudulent testimony is found to have been given either by a witness for the state or for the defense in any criminal case, this office will investigate and prosecute if warranted. Our office has the singular responsibility to not only ensure that the guilty are punished, but that the innocent are set free. As for improving the process regarding medical examiners, this office formed a task force that recommended a complete revamping of the system and full DNA testing. And there is now a state medical examiner in Mississippi.